Hi, my name is Dara, and I'm Nayeli, and we're here to talk about the American food system. America always wants to lead and be the best at everything, yet it has its downfalls. Many technological and agricultural advancements have facilitated the mass production process and made labor cheaper, faster, and above all, more convenient. Valuing convenience and minimizing the effort and dedication has its consequences, however.
For example, the enlargement of farm tractors and field equipment has resulted in soil compaction, which reduces the rate of both water infiltration and drainage.
Our detachment and lack of both physical and intellectual dedication to our lifestyle is evident in the American culture. This shameless approach to problems is evident even in students' behaviors towards education, such as when students are failing a class or simply not receiving the grades that they want. Instead of putting in the effort into their schoolwork throughout the year, they wait until the last minute to ask teachers for extra credit.
While the true problem is that they did not master the material and earn the grade, they choose to dismiss it and look only at the surface of the problem, which is the grade that they receive. This way of solving problems is prevalent in many aspects of our society and culture, even in our health system. When faced with obesity, instead of exercising and changing diets, some Americans decide to take the convenient alternative of paying for surgery. However, surgery will not fix the health problems that are associated with obesity, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and so on. It only fixes the surface of the problem.
Our country's philosophy of taking shortcuts is what makes us run into these long-term problems.
The Western philosophy of resolving all health problems by going to the doctor is one that solely benefits the pharmaceutical companies. The more logical way to resolve our problems would be to avoid unnecessary doctor visits and turn to our food as our everyday medicine. Rather than taking vitamin supplements for vitamin deficiency, you should eat foods that are rich in those vitamins.
Food, however, should be chosen or grown with care. People demand food that costs less to maintain and have a longer shelf life. But chemical tampering has resulted in good-looking foods with no nutritional value compared to organic and homegrown foods. Still coupled with their natural organic carriers so the body can do the extracting and regulating.
Their studies show that the human body recognizes them as whole foods and thereby extracts only what it needs. In the Western philosophy, the extracting is done in a laboratory, bypassing the body's participation. The body often reacts to these synthetics and isolated chemicals by manifesting side effects.
Ultimately, Eastern philosophy focuses on prevention of diseases through a healthy diet. However, the Western approach can be life-saving and is clearly the best alternative during a crisis. Eastern healing begins with a view of the body as a system harmonized with nature. Usually, the body should forgo phases of sickness and heal naturally by taking in natural ingredients. When feeling unwell, usually you would have rest, but other things such as acupuncture may be better. Acupuncture, however, requires more education or knowledge in order to perform this skill. Instead, one may practice or perform gui sha or coin rub. This involves a rounded object, coin, or stone, along with any oil or lotion as a lubricant. By press stroking the lubricated area in one direction, this produces an anti-inflammatory and immune protective effect that aids pain or can heal any sorts of stress, fever, cough, nausea, and vomiting. Acute and chronic internal organ disorders may benefit from such treatment. This increases surface microperfusion or surface circulation of blood. Healing begins when hemoglobin is broken down, causing the red blood cells to be reabsorbed. This increases the response of an anti-inflammatory enzyme. Gui sha, however, is only one of the many Eastern approaches to health.
Rather than truly learning what goes into our system and enjoying our food, we also eat in a manner that is convenient. We eat on the go because we live a busy life. We eat at a fast food restaurant because it's easier to look at the dollar menu than preparing a meal. We eat while we're distracted, and oftentimes we eat too fast. Because we eat too fast at times, we often overeat. In fact, nerves send signals to the brain that the stomach is expanding. At the same time, a hormone called ghrelin produced when your stomach empties to trigger a hunger message, starts to decrease. It takes about 20 minutes after you start eating for the message to stop eating to reach your brain. These delayed signals are the reason why sometimes you don't get the feeling of overeating until a while later.
If you don't eat mindfully, you also don't pay attention to how much you've been consuming, meaning you tend to eat more than you should.
Brian Wansink's mindful eating illustrates that the amount we consume isn't dictated by how hungry we are, but by how big our plates are. His studies entailed two groups of moviegoers. One group got a large bucket of stale popcorn, while the other got an enormous bucket of stale popcorn. Yet when the Wansink research team weighed the buckets after the movie, there was a huge difference in the amounts the groups consumed. Those with the bigger buckets inhaled 53% more stale popcorn on average, suggesting that a lot of stale popcorn is somehow more appealing than a little stale popcorn. To compensate for this mindless overeating, our eating utensils and plates have gotten bigger. In fact, our plates are now 12 inches in diameter compared to the 1960s 9 inches in diameter. Our plates are bigger than our stomachs.
If you're attempting to transition so that you can eat less, you should consider using smaller plates or utensils or both. Not only would applying both these considerations force you to eat slower, but it would also give you the illusion of a bigger meal. On a side note, eating while grocery shopping while you're hungry isn't a wise choice because your decisions when you're hungry are impulsive, meaning you're bound to buy more junk food.
Our ignorance in what we consume is apparent in our lifestyle. In fact, in the past 20 years, the frequency of family dinners has declined by 33%, and many more Americans have turned to eating on the go or even while watching TV. This, along with the fact that many people eat too fast, contributes to our country's obesity problem. Rather than sitting down as a family and ensuring as a parent that your child is eating properly, we eat proportions too large, too often, and too fast.
Eating as a unit not only allows parents to have a better relationship with their kids and help teach their kids family values, but it also helps parents reinforce good eating habits, such as mindful eating, table manners, proportions, and so on.
The surprising fact that you may not be familiar with is that during the past 15 years, 70% or $170 billion of farm subsidies support the production of 5 major crops: corn, wheat, cotton, rice, and soybeans. The United States produces more than 40% of the world's corn. Yet the biggest share of these crops will be for livestock feed and the production of starch, corn oil, and corn sweeteners. I'm willing to bet that at least 1/3 of your food products contains corn, or commonly labeled as high fructose sugar. This wouldn't be surprising considering the fact that about 3 in 4 supermarket products are made of corn. I bet you didn't know that toothpaste contains corn.
This subsidization of processed corn masks the true price of unhealthy foods. Part of the reason unhealthy foods appear cheaper than healthier foods, such as fruits, vegetables, and even organic food, is part of the ingredients, such as high fructose sugar, that has already been paid through by tax dollars.
Politicians and congressmen are more concerned when getting reelected and serving private interests to help get reelected. The Corn Belt states are numerous and in low population, meaning their senators are powerful since they represent comparatively few people. The subsidization of corn is a way for senators to ensure their re-election. However, the subsidization of corn only strengthens the existence of high fructose sugar products.
There are many small resolutions that can work towards bettering our system, such as buying locally, demanding organic products, supporting the subsidization of other necessary crops, and eating more raw foods. Still, the solution isn't that simple. For example, sometimes buying locally isn't energy efficient if the plant isn't native to its soil. Similarly, planting the same type of crops year-round without rotating the crops results in soil losing its nutrients. Also, the definition of buying local is a hard one. Is it 50 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles? Even then, the type of miles matter.
Buying locally can be effective in some cases, such as when the plant is native to the soil in your area. However, forcing plants that aren't native to the soil to grow there would require much more energy than if you had grown it 1,000 miles away and shipped it from there. And of course, as mentioned previously, the type of miles are important. You see, train miles are much more efficient than truck miles, and in turn, pollute less than do truck miles. So it would be just as efficient to ship a product 1,000 train miles as it would have had you shipped it 100 miles on a truck. Eating according to what is native to the soil around you as well as what is in harvest would be ideal. Harvests are subject to the weather, so you might just have to accept that strawberries are not in harvest during the winter. Choosing to eat what isn't in harvest forces markets to import those fruits that are being demanded, since after all, demand is what determines what is supplied. If there are no locally grown foods from farms around your area, you can always grow your own foods if possible. Another problem that can be solved by what you demand is the amount of meat you eat and how you eat it. Eating raw food, including not only vegetables and fruit,
Same unit of land than if we only ate the meat.
our values and philosophy create many of the world's problems. World hunger, the exploitation of third world countries, soil nutrients deficiency, animal abuse, global warming, and so on. It would be overwhelming to try and fix this within a year, 2 years, or even maybe a decade, because change is slow. But what I can say is that the change can start with you.
But what I can say is that the change starts with you.